How do you solve a variable equation? Well, that all depends on the equation. The four main types of equations are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So let's take a look at how we would solve each one of these different types of equations. So let's say our addition equation was x plus 5 equals 12. Now solving this problem means that I'm finding a value for x that would make this equation true. And to do that, I have to get x all by itself. But right now, I'm adding 5 to x. So I want to take away 5 so that x will be by itself. But if I take 5 away from this side of the equation, I have to take 5 away from the other side of the equation. So that would give us x plus 5 minus 5 equals 12 minus 5. I'm subtracting 5 from both sides of the equation. Well, if I add 5 to a number and then take 5 away, I'm left with the original number. So this side becomes x. And the other side is simply 12 minus 5, which is 7. So that's how you would solve an addition problem. Let's take a look at subtraction. This time we'll say our problem is x minus 5 equals 12. Well, this one's a little trickier to see, but if I take 5 away from a number, in order to get back to the original number, I need to add 5. So we're going to add 5 to each side of the equation. So this time we get x minus 5 plus 5 equals 12 plus 5. Minus 5 plus 5 is a fancy way of writing the number 0. So we have x plus 0, and that's just x. And that's going to equal 12 plus 5, which is 17. And we've solved this problem. Now let's take a look at multiplication. Let's say the problem is 3x equals 24. Whenever you write a number next to a variable, it's understood to mean multiplication. So 3 times a number equals 24. Well, remember, I'm trying to solve for just one x, and right now I've got 3 x's. So a way to get just one x would be to divide each side by 3. So if I divide 3x by 3, I end up with just 1x, or simply x. And that's going to equal 24 divided by 3, and that's 8. So the solution to this problem is x equals 8. And now let's take a look at division. X divided by 4 equals 20. So right now, I only have a piece of an x. I only have 1/4 of an x. I want a whole x. So the way to turn 1/4 of an x into a whole x is to multiply each side by 4. And when I do that, I get x equals 80. So those are the basic problem-solving steps for equations that contain a variable. Now let's see what happens when two of these operations appear in the same equation. Let's try the equation 2x plus 5 equals 23. Remember, the object of the game is to simplify everything until I end up with just 1x. So right now, I'm multiplying x by 2 and then adding 5 to the product. And that's going to equal 23. The first step would be to subtract 5 from each side. So we get 2x plus 5 minus 5 equals 23 minus 5. Well, plus 5 and minus 5 is a fancy way of writing 0. So on this side of the equation, we have 2x plus 0. And that's just 2x. And on the other side of the equation, we have 23 minus 5. And that's 18. So now we have 2 times x equals 18. And that's a multiplication problem with a variable. So let's divide each side by 2. And that gives us x equals 9. And we can do a fast check on that. And we check our work by substituting our answer for x in the original equation. So we would get 2 times 9 plus 5, and that should equal 23. Well, 2 times 9 is 18, plus 5 more equals 23. So it checks. Let's try another one. Let's do x divided by 3 minus 8 equals 4. Our first step will be to add 8 to each side of the equation. So that'll give us x over 3 minus 8 plus 8 equals 4 plus 8. Well, minus 8 plus 8 is equal to 0. So the equation becomes x over 3 equals 12. Now, to solve a division problem, we multiply each side by the denominator. So in our case, that would be the number 3. And that gives us x equals 36. And we can do a fast check on that. 36 divided by 3 minus 8 should equal 4. 36 divided by 3 is 12. And 12 minus 8 is definitely 4. So that checks. While equations with variables can become pretty challenging as you go along, you will always need to apply these 4 basic steps.